The genocide of grandparents. Poop sonogram. Why am I bleeding? I'm an English professor, and this is English Professor Grade Your Late Excuses. Is your essay due at midnight and you haven't started yet? I'll tell you what to do, what not to do, and how not to give too many blowjobs for grades. I have COVID right now. I'm on COVID for the first time. I have COVID and I'm working through it, so why can't you get your paper done on time? Do you trust me? Do you believe me? How do you know these are real? So anyway, I'm gonna make a viral video. So these are all allegedly real excuses that have been submitted. I was pulled over for drunk biking because I was riding all wobbly, but I wasn't drunk. I was just dodging slugs in the street. A+, I don't care if that's a lie or not, it's creative. I'll give you an extension for that. I broke both my wrists playing soccer. You do know you're not supposed to use your hands for soccer, right? I'll give you that extension. My girlfriend and I got a little extra frisky over the weekend and I ended up with testicular torsion, then proceeds to pull down his pants and try to show me, this professor said. Yeah, I would approve that. Testicular torsion? I'll give you an extra 3 days for that. I really wanted to turn in my homework, but the FBI took my laptop. Student then shows me evidence receipt that they got from the FBI. It would take some serious balls to fake an FBI receipt of inventory of evidence. Like, I'm approving that. I'll give you 4 days. I did too much acid and I couldn't write my paper. No, rejected. You gotta learn how to spin that, right? Instead say, I was microdosing to be more creative and I overshot and the paper melted and the computer was love personified and I just couldn't figure it out, spin it. When I walked out of my house, I walked through a spider web and I couldn't find the spider, so I had to take another shower. That's an excuse to be like 12, 15 minutes late, not I need an extension on my paper. Denied. It's funny, but denied. A caterpillar suddenly dropped on my fingers on the keyboard and I instinctively flung my whole laptop away and it broke. Extension granted for pure creativity, if nothing else. True or not, that's a creative thing, so that's a good one. I'll give you 4 days for that. It puts the extension on its paper, or else it gets the hose again. Kids these days don't understand my Silence of the Lambs references. In one semester, from one student, I got the following excuses. Oh, my grandma died. Okay. A couple weeks later, for another thing's due, his mom has cancer. Oh no, that's terrible. A couple weeks later, another thing's due. Guess what? Where are we going now? My stepmom has cancer. All right. Next big thing's due. Where are we going? Are we gonna kill another grandparent? No, his sister got kidnapped, which I'm pretty sure he's either lying or this dude kidnapped his sister. And he probably gave his stepmom cancer somehow. He's figuring this shit out. Dude's gonna get a Nobel Prize in figuring out how to give people cancer. Someone hacked my computer to submit a plagiarized final paper to frame me. Yeah, reject it. I don't believe you for 1 second. Even if it's true, I don't believe you. Get better passwords so people can't submit papers for you, which I still, okay, don't believe you. That's just punishment for having a shitty password. See, the thing that makes me want to not help you is when I think you're lying and I think you're trying to take advantage of me, like I'm an idiot. I don't want to help you then. Remember, we were students too for a long time. I one time wrote down in my calendar the day of my history final. I wrote down the wrong day. And I didn't realize it till I was a day late. He let me take it again. It was fine. Just be honest. Be like, hey, I just wrote down the wrong day. It's fine. Be honest. So we can empathize with you for shit. But if you lie to us and think we're idiots, we're not gonna want to help you. Tell the truth. But if it's an unbelievable truth, go with a believable lie. So even the true story of how you fucked up is probably something we can identify with, like how your boyfriend tried to fill up your car with homemade rocket fuel so you couldn't come to campus this week. See, I just made that up on the spot. Here's the thing about deadlines and being a professor and I got my syllabus and it says all these mean things in it. I want you to think I'm really mean. So then when I'm just a normal person and lenient, you're like, oh, thank you. If I laid out a policy that was really lenient, then you would beg for more. Generally, I'm pretty lenient and I will give people extra time if they ask for it, but I don't want them to know that because then no one will take deadlines seriously. And I want you to think I'm really mean. So that way when I'm just barely nice, you're like, oh, thank you. What is that saying? If you give an inch, they'll kill your grandma. I'm like refs in the Super Bowl. I could throw the flag. I'm just probably not gonna. But I need you to believe that so that the left tackle doesn't just like rip down the pass rusher every play. You know, let's pretend like I might call holding. Like, just behave yourself. I'm not going to, but you have to think that I will. Here's a move. You take a file, right? That's not an essay. I don't know, a JPEG. And you just change it from .jpeg to .doc. And you just submit that online. And it's just a garbage file. Like, it tries to open it and it's like, what the fuck is this? So then the professor doesn't notice for like 4 days when they try to grade your paper. Like, oh, hey, this file won't open. You're like, oh, really? I'll resubmit. And that just bought you 4 days, right? Wrong. You know why? Because I thought I invented that trick in like 2005. And a lot of other people think they invented that trick. It's an old trick. And in fact, I check for this when I have a paper due at midnight. I go through and I look and I make sure all of those files will open. So at best, you're going to buy yourself like 8 hours because I will email you immediately and be like, yeah, this file doesn't work. And if you don't get back to me for 2 days, I'm going to call it late. I thought I invented that. Also, we planted porn on somebody's computer using this trick. Fake porn. I can't turn in my paper because I'm on my period. No, what? You might be tempted to go with the TMI, the like, oh, I can't stop pooping and I'm having a prolapsed fistula or whatever. Something super gross, and then you attach a photo of some super gross shit. Please don't do that. It's like flopping in soccer. It might work, but everyone hates you. I'm not asking for a play-by-play of what's going on in your bathroom, like poop sonogram. Is that a thing? So they'll just attach a photo of something disgusting. Like, why did you attach that? Here's a trick I do not recommend. This is a bad one. We call it the pity dump. Say it's the first day of the semester. A student will come up to me after class. Did I just spill? Trying to tell me their life story. And I'm like, I just want to go back to my office. What is this? Why do I need to know any of this information? For example, one time a student was telling me about how last semester he had to leave school completely and leave the country because his cousin was wounded in a mortar attack in Saudi Arabia, and he had to like donate half his liver to his cousin, and that's why he failed all his classes last semester. There's more to it. There's a whole bunch of details. Why are you telling me any of this? I have no idea what your grades are. I don't have access to your file. I don't know what other teachers say about you. It's a big campus. It's not like we're in a break room talking about you. Grad school, sure, small community. Undergrad, I don't know anything about you. And I'm not an advisor. I'm not your advisor. I don't know if you got in trouble for plagiarism. All I know is name, rank, and serial number. I don't know if you failed your last class for plagiarism. I don't know that information. So you don't need to lay down some hey, by the way, the reason I have always bad grades. I don't know your grades. All it does is put me into a suspicion mode. Every time I've had students do the pity dump thing, often they do it at the beginning of the semester. Every single time those students have been terrible, liars, plagiarizers. Just every time. The guy he got failed in all his classes because he had to give half his liver to his cousin who was wounded in a mortar attack. I caught him plagiarizing twice, and then suddenly he had to leave the country, allegedly, because some other emergency family ridiculous story that I don't believe. So first time something's due, or first day of class and somebody's just dumping a pity story on me, what I'm really hearing is they are buttering me up because they're planning on getting in trouble, or they're planning on turning things in late, and they're just trying to lay that down. So I'm immediately okay, let's star that student. He's going to turn everything in late, and he's a liar. I could be wrong. I don't know. It's like cops. You know how cops are oh yeah, I can always tell when someone's lying. It's just confirmation bias. And I know when I catch someone plagiarizing, and I feel like I catch them all. But how the fuck do I know? Quote, sorry I'm late. There are more stairs than usual. Rejected. I couldn't do the assignment because my roommate was being too loud because he was having sex with his girlfriend. I couldn't get them to shut up, so my concentration was fucked. Literally fucked? Because if you used literally fucked there appropriately, I would probably approve that, I'll give you a day. But you can't go to the computer lab? This sounds like a dorm situation. Or just go to your desk in the room and just start typing loudly while making eye contact. They'll probably stop having sex, or they might ask you to join. I don't know. All right, your grandparent died. I know it's a lie, 75% of the time. But I don't care enough to check. What am I gonna do? Go through fucking death certificates? I'm not a private investigator. What do I care? I'll give you a week, whatever. It doesn't mean I'm gonna like you. It means I'm probably thinking, they might be trying to pull one over on me. You go to any department at any university in the country, you go about a month into the semester, first big assignments are due, you go to the professor's break room. And guess what we're talking about? The genocide of grandparents. How many goddamn grandparents just died suddenly right before the big assignment was due? Okay, this is a cliche. Be more creative with your excuses. So one semester in class, I was like, all right, so the first big paper's due next week. So that means a whole bunch of your grandparents are gonna die. And then my grandpa died that week, and I feel like I kinda killed him. My goat ate my homework. Well, that's more original than dog, I'll give you that. And sounds believable because goats eat stuff, you know? These damn kids these days. I'll grant you that extension. I had to work unexpectedly. Anything that gets my evil socialist professor's Marxist critique going about how half your classmates don't have to work. And I know bosses can be dicks. I was bit by my boyfriend's family's illegal pet tiger. Granted, can I see a picture? My cat got stuck in the box spring and I had to get it out. Leave it there. What do you have to get it out for? All you gotta do is put a second cat in. That'll fix the situation. I was in jail. Respect. I'll give you that one. My pet weasel got out of its cage, climbed into the plumbing, and then I had to hire a plumber with a camera to try and locate it. That's a way to weasel out of your assignment. I'll give you a day for that. All right, here's some hot tips. Number 1, be honest, or at least seem honest. If your real excuse is unbelievable, maybe make a more believable one. Ask for an extension with a little bit of time left, but not a ton, right? So papers due at midnight. Don't email me at 11:58 asking for an extension. But if you ask me a week, it's the paper's due in a week. And you're like, hey, can I get an extension on that paper? I mean, why? You know you have a whole week still. Why can't you get it done by then? Oh, my grandpa died. All right. Does that take a whole week? Don't assume policy is going to be super strictly followed, right? Because I write the policy so I sound like a jerk so that when I'm slightly nice to you, you're grateful. And I could be as mean as I want, essentially. If I'm nicer than that, that's fine. But if I'm meaner than that policy that's written, I could, I guess, get in trouble for that. Not that that's ever happened. For example, late work, reduction in points. It's the minute it's late, you lose this percent. Every day it's late, you lose another letter grade. Rules like that. And then I'm pretty lenient about it. So yeah, talk a big game. People are scared. They turn things in on time for the most part. If I were to tell you, I'm super lenient. If you turn it in 2 days late and I'm feeling nice, I might not take off any points. Guess how seriously you're going to take these deadlines. And then every student does that, and then I have nothing to grade. And I have to waste time for 2 days because no one's turning in anything. And then I'm behind schedule, which is the real key, is me being on schedule. So anyway, ferment imbibe. In a lot of instances, if students are doing good work, if they're good in class, and they turn in something 12 hours late, my policy might say a letter grade or whatever, and I might just ignore it and give them full credit. But don't tell them that ahead of time, and then they will procrastinate. Deadlines exist because there is a deadline for me at the end of the semester where I have to turn in final grades. So if I said there are no deadlines, here are the assignments for all semester, and then by May 15th, I've got to go online and turn in what your letter grade is by 5 p.m. I would get inundated with 400 essays on May 15th, and they'd all be terrible because you crap them all out on May 15th. And then they also exist as psychological tricks to get you to procrastinate, and then your procrastination brain goes, oh, fuck, I have to do this now, and then you work hard a little bit. That's the system we have, I guess. Deadlines are pretty arbitrary, especially online classes. I like to use midnight because it's what day is it due? It's due Tuesday. I could make it 11 p.m. I could make it 2 a.m. It doesn't really make any difference. I think I only did it once for one assignment. I made the assignment due at 4 a.m. You had 2 weeks to do this assignment. I had students get upset with me about this 4 a.m. deadline. If you want the deadline to be midnight, just tell yourself the deadline is midnight. I make the deadline 4 a.m. I gave you extra time, and they were mad at me because they were trying to turn it in at 3 in the morning. They would have rather had a deadline be earlier because it basically short-circuited their procrastination. So guess who stayed up till 2:30 in the morning and then were like, oh, I guess I need to start my paper now. If you have a procrastination problem, you should look up Dr. Tim Pychyl, who has a PhD in goal pursuit, which is like getting your doctorate and getting shit done. And he has a whole thing about procrastination and how it's about feeling good now. It's not a time management problem. I told the teacher I couldn't go home to get my assignment because the police had blocked off my apartment building due to a standoff between a man that had taken his baby nephew hostage and the SWAT team. The news coverage backed me up on that, so I got an extension on that assignment. So I guess watch the news the night your paper's due, and then wait for a standoff or a gas leak, road closure, a big car wreck, whatever, and then you can be like, hey, turn on channel 5. That's my apartment building or whatever. A student brought in their fender to class to prove they were in a car crash. Please don't. Please don't do that. You could just have a fender. You could just have COVID tests. I don't know that those are yours. I don't know if that's your fender. Next time you see a car crash, like out in the world, just go take a selfie in front of it. And then whenever you have something late, you can be like, here, oh, yeah, I just got in a car crash. Here's me in front of this car crash. And that's really me. Be a good thing to have handy. Another teacher had this story, which is that a student sent them a photo, selfie in front of a car crash. Remember my idea, right? Professor opened up the data, and in the metadata on the photo, you could tell it was a year old. So when you do the selfie in front of the car crash, and you have that on hand, right? And make sure when you send it later, you take out the metadata. Save it as a new JPEG or whatever. Get rid of all that metadata. I missed class because I had a bad case of gonorrhea. Denied? It's not like third stage syphilis. I've heard from other professors that somebody has put in their syllabus, do not send me photos of your weird rashes and stuff. Here's my suspicion. Teachers, we are just inundated with excuses, and we know most of them are lies, right? Just imagine being lied to constantly. It feels like you're being taken advantage of. So some teachers just adopt like a strict policy of like, no, there's no excuses. It's late, it's late. I don't care about anything because I'm not gonna demand a death certificate and investigate whether your grandma really died. So they just say like no to everyone. And so if you deal with one of those teachers, you might think, oh, I have to include photos of proof. The 90% of students that are lying constantly to get their excuses, they're ruining it for everyone. We can't be nice because then we'll just get walked all over. And then if you actually have a problem, you just are screwed because some teachers are just fed up with excuses. I mean, for me, I generally err on the side of fuck it, what do I care? You say some sob story, I'm not gonna just be like, oh, you don't have to do the paper, get an A. I'm just making you do it later. Is that really much different? I was in jail. I'll give you an extension for that. Here's the thing. So you might think that that's communicating to me that you're a piece of shit criminal. You're a bad kid. I don't want to help you. So instead, you're going to lie and say I had an emergency with my dressage horse and I'm, an upstanding citizen. I was injured at a Scrabble tournament. You might think that would be a better lie. But if you're dealing with real life shit, you got a DUI. I get it. It happens. I've had friends get DUIs who I don't think are pieces of shit completely. My essay seems less important to me. Oh, your life, you're dealing with that. I get it. I, in high school, crashed my car on the way to school, not because I was going fast, but because I had to wake up at 6:45 in the morning and I was a teenager and I was just in a daze and didn't have coffee. Children didn't drink coffee at that time. Wasn't a thing. Barely awake, trying to drive, and didn't notice that one of the cars wasn't going to school. Everybody's in a row just driving to the school, and somebody's got to turn. Oh, and they stop, and I rear-ended them. I then get to school late, had to take I think it was a trig test, and I failed it because I had just gotten in a car wreck, and I'm stressed and all that stuff. Didn't even think to be hey, can I get an extension on it? I just took it. I was I'm here, I'm taking the test, It was parent-teacher night, that day. And my parents were oh yeah, he wrecked his car this morning. And my teacher let me retake it. Anyway, I get it. Real life shit. Stressful things happening makes the schoolwork seem less important, I'm not going to think you're a total piece of shit and not want to help you because you got like a DUI or whatever. I mean, maybe if it's child trafficking, don't tell me that. I forgot about it until just now, but I only have 40 minutes to do it. Can I have a 2-hour extension? Yes. You could have more. I'll give you a day. Do you think I want to sit and grade an awful piece of shit vomit draft you just whipped up in 40 minutes? No, I don't want to grade that. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's good. Okay, Freya ate your homework. Did you eat your homework? Did you eat the homework? You do an ASMR. What do I gotta do to prove you have COVID? You want me to cough up some blood? I can do that. I can cough up blood. I really have COVID right now. You gotta trust me, even though I have 2 positive tests. I don't know, these could be months old. These could be from somebody else. They could just be fake. How do you know? In the comments, decide. Do I get an extension for this video? Please do not eat syllabus. This is how to get a professor to hate you.